Hello guys, Tops here. Today I want to show you how I built my X guy and why I built my X guy. So, an X backline guy to be precise. And you want to build an backliner if he's not able, or basically if he just have high melee skill. So he has very high melee attack, but he doesn't have a lot of melee defense, a lot of HP, a lot of stamina, or a lot of resolve. Not enough to be a good frontliner. But if you can't make a frontliner, like these guys over here, you can still, most of the time, make them a backliner. So, as you can see here, I have a brawler, a very cheap background, who doesn't have a lot of melee defense. So if you can't hit 30 melee defense, you should make him nimble. That's always my personal rule. And I kind of made a mistake here. I went for Nimble Forge. I wouldn't recommend it. It's, in my point of view, a waste of a perk, and until you get like an insane armor, it's not worth it. So I fucked this build a little bit up, but the beauty about this build is it's incredibly flexible and very low requirement, because you only need melee skill. Everything else is whatever. Of course, you want as much melee defense, HP, stamina, and resolve as you can get, but it's not that important, because you only gonna hit, all that matters is that you hit once or even twice per turn, because the core perks are Berserk for an additional 4 action points if you killed something, and Killing Frenzy for more damage if you killed something. So ideally you want to hit once and then another time per round. So I recommend Nimble for this build, because it's very fatigue efficient to go nimble, and you don't need that much fatigue on this character. So stuff like recover is not necessary. I always go with Pathfinder and Colossus and Gifted, because it has a lot of value, but it's very flexible. The only thing you want to do is make this guy damage dealer. So Berserk, Killing Frenzy is it's a requirement. If you have a bro who doesn't have a lot of melee attack, you can still make him better with the Backstabber perk. So you get plus 10 hit chance for every surrounding ally that surrounds the target. So basically, if you want to hit, you have a ranged weapon, a ranged axe, you want to hit 2 tiles away. So if you have 3 guys surrounding an opponent, you can basically get plus 20 or even plus 30 melee attack on top of it. So even somebody who doesn't have a lot of melee skill can be a decent backliner if you give him stuff like fast adaptation and backstabber to make it more likely that he hits. And yeah, it's a very low requirement build. It's very flexible. You can take a lot of perks. You can make him a hybrid as well, give him some ranged weapons if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend that. And yeah, let's go to the weapon. We use the LONGAXE because the LONGAXE is basically the highest damage ranged two-handed weapon, because it has very high base damage, but also a lot of armor penetration and effectiveness against armor, and also an additional hit chance to the head. So this weapon is very effective at doing damage. And as you can see, that's a lot of damage with one hit. And it also has a split shield thing, which can be useful in some situations, especially early if you want to fight stuff like Ancient Undead. So it's also a weapon that is very easy to loot from brigand raiders. So you can have this weapon very early on. And yeah, this is a very early, efficient damage build. And it makes use out of bros that aren't perfect, basically. And that's very important, especially in the early and mid game where you recruit a company and you have to deal with the guys that you have. You don't have the money to buy 10 hedge knights and have a great company. So this is why I can highly recommend this guy. And it's also, if you have, like this guy, a new hedge knight, you can give him an X and level him safely in the backline. That's also an option. So this is one of the lowest keys builds in the whole game, I guess. And if you think about it, how low the requirements are, it's very efficient. And maybe one of the best builds in the game. By the way, you can also go for Crippling Strikes and Executioner, Headhunter, for just complete damage and ignore all the defensive perks. That's also an option. So you can be very damaging with a bro that is not a frontliner and doesn't have a lot of good stats. That's why I like this build, and I basically build it more or less every run that I make. X Mastery is an option, but it's not necessary in my opinion, because it just removes the minus 15 hit chance if you hit stuff that is directly to you, directly in front of you. So you should avoid that, because your brother isn't that tanky. And don't make him Nimble Forge like me. I recommend Nimble. You can go Battle Forge if you want, but usually if you can make a guy Battle Forge, he can be a frontliner. Yeah, yeah, that's it, I guess. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. See you in the comments and have a nice day. Bye bye.